Good morning and welcome to the Cooler Earth Sustainability Summit. My name is Gabriel Chong. I'm one of the directors at CIMB Group Sustainability, and I'm your host for this session. The Cooler Earth is a platform we have established for engagement and action, together with knowledge partners, Worldwide Fund for Nature, Impacto, and Think City. The summit is CIMB's mission to convene global citizens, experts, and important stakeholders for a series of engagement on environmental and social issues. Our overarching theme for this year is recovery, resilience, and responsibility. The summit aims to promote the exchange of ideas and encourage adoption of sustainable business models and lifestyles to enable businesses and communities to emerge stronger and better prepared for future challenges post-pandemic. This week is Circular Cities Week at the summit. We're doing this with circular economy clubs around the region. And on Saturday, we will hear from clubs in Vienna and London on how they are working to make cities more sustainable. You can visit our website to see the full list of programs for the next few days. We're also working on CIMB Artober, which is an art exhibition in collaboration with 9 galleries in KL to safeguard and promote our arts and cultural heritage. Due to the ongoing CMCO, the exhibition is by appointment only and is extended until 15th of November. Do go to our website for a full listing of galleries. We are also doing our part to make the summit carbon neutral. We're committed to offsetting up to 5 times our own emissions from activities related to the summit. We encourage our participants to be part of this, and you can go onto our website and look at our offset partners and contribute up to a ton to offsets. Now, today's webinar we have is on Wonosidi, the leading circular economy village in Indonesia, which is very interesting. This is by CEC Pacitan. Before I hand over to our knowledge partner, Think City, I would like to just make a few housekeeping notes. If you have any tech issues, do email us at thecoolerearth@cimb.com. You can engage with our speakers through the Menti platform. You can go to www.menti.com and you can use the code that's on top of the screen to post questions if you have any, right? And you can be part of the online conversation. You can hashtag us at the Cooler Earth or CIMB for tomorrow. Now, today, I'd like now to today we have 3 speakers from Australia and from Indonesia, and I'd like now to introduce, and they'll be introduced by Duncan and Webri shortly. And now I'd like to pass the controls over to Duncan Cave. He is the lead from Think City Institute, who are knowledge partners for the summit. So over to you, Duncan.
Thanks so much, Gabriel, and thanks also to everyone in the team at CIMB for including the Think City Institute as part of the Cooler Earth Summit. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Cooler Earth Summit and the 3rd day of Circular Cities Week, which will be lasting until Saturday. And Saturday is also World Cities Day, in case you're unaware of that. As Gabriel mentioned, Think City Institute is the knowledge partner for this event. We are a knowledge repository and capacity building organization based in Malaysia with a focus on solving urban issues, making our cities more livable, more sustainable, and more resilient. We have a regional outlook looking to solve city problems through a Southeast Asian lens, but working with international organizations from around the world to apply best practice to real life situations. Through this, we're hoping to simplify the complexity of our cities. Now, CEC Pacitan is the representative of the Circular Economy Club in Pacitan Regency, East Java, Indonesia. It's organized by Greenwave NGO, a waste management and environmental preservation non-profit organization. The club is focusing on helping societies in Pacitan to understand and practice the circular economy We've had difficulties this morning for Webri to connect, so I hope you'll all bear with us if we do have problems, but let's keep our fingers crossed. So Webri is the founder of Greenwave NGO, a waste management and environmental preservation non-profit from Indonesia. She's keen to help communities to increase their environmental awareness with an economy that grows in harmony with the environment. Webri received an Australia award that enabled her to take a course called Tackling Marine Pollution Issues Through Recycling at Griffith University in 2019. From then, she has developed the Greenwave method, waste management system. In just 3 months, the method helped 64% of houses in Wonosidi village sort waste from their homes into 11 categories to be used as recycled material. Currently, her organisation works together with the village government, a local environmental workers group called Manggala Wonosidi, social marketing at Griffith University, Australia Awards, and Women's Earth Alliance to make Wonosidi a leading circular economy village and achieve all 17 sustainable development goals. That's incredible. Through collaboration and co-creation, Webri hopes to make Wonosidi a prototype for implementing both her innovative waste management system and her environmental preservation system so that they can be emulated by other villages in Indonesia. Eventually, she hopes to translate these systems to cities and suburban communities across Indonesia too. So very inspiring, Webri. Good morning, Webri. Welcome to Circular Cities Week. I'll hand it over to you now. Hi, Webri. The floor is yours.
Thanks, Duncan. Yes. Okay. Thank you, Duncan, and hi, everyone. Thanks for joining webinar Wonosidi, the leading circular economy village in Indonesia. This webinar helps you to gain knowledge and understanding about how waste management to resource recovery Griffith University contribute towards solving global plastic pollution problem. And number two, to understand the Greenwave method waste management system and its implementation example in Wonosidi village in Indonesia. And number three, at the end, we have a discussion to see possibility for Australia and ASEAN countries to collaborate in further to tackle marine pollution issues through implementation of circular economy. And for the first speaker, we are hearing from waste management expert Associate Professor Sunil Herat from Griffith University, Australia. He is the Program Director of Master of Environmental Engineering and Pollution Control degree offered by Griffith University. He is an expert in municipal solid waste management, hazardous waste management, cleaner production and eco-efficiency, circular economy and sustainable consumption and production. He is currently functioning as a member of the subsidiary expert group of the United Nations Regional 3R Forum for Asia and Pacific, providing advisory support and strategic guidance to member countries on managing electronic waste or e-waste and plastic waste. He has over 20 years of experience in the field of waste management, in particular, issues and challenges related to developing and emerging economies in the Asia-Pacific region. He has conducted several workshops and training programs for waste management professionals in Singapore, Fiji of Pacific Island, India, Sri Lanka, Indonesia, and Vietnam. I know him personally during short course tackling marine pollution issues through recycling at Griffith University in 2019. And my favorite is his philosophy that the real training is starting from the end of the short course program. So basically, this webinar and also what we have been doing in Wonosidi village and what we will do across Indonesia in the future, obviously continuation of the short course in 2009. So please welcome Associate Professor Sunil Herat from Griffith University. Over to you, Dr. Sunil.
Thank you, Webri. Thanks. Good morning, everyone. It's my pleasure to be a part of this important webinar. So what I'm planning to do is that I'm planning to talk about a little bit about the waste management issues, the global issues, which you already know, but it's some just to refresh your mind and also to set the scene for my presentation. And then I'll talk about some of the important waste streams which are really worried about at this point of time. And then I'll finish the presentation by talking about what Griffith University is doing in solving the problems. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Yeah. Yeah, so basically, I think most of you have read the latest World Bank report on the title, it's called the Water Waste 2.0, which is a latest version. And you see that, as we all know, the waste generation around the world is on the increase. As you see from the slide there, you can see by 2050, every region in the world will have increased amount of waste generated. And the particular note here is the East Asia Pacific region, according to that publication, is leading the world in generation of waste. So it's very important for this seminar. And the report says that about 23% of the waste, the global waste produced last year, came from this region. So basically, next slide, please. So the report also said that in 2016, the world generated about 2.01 billion tons, which is going to increase to 3.4 billion tons, which is not the good news we want to hear. And the important thing there is that that increase is under business as usual scenario. So we have the opportunity to change this number, and this is something we must do as a community to see that we will not reach that 3.4 billion by 2050, and it is quite possible to do, which I'll explain later. So next slide, please. So I just thought of putting this slide here. This extract from a UN publication. On the right-hand top corner, you see a statement called cost of inaction to the society. So this is something, a message which should give to decision makers, especially the people at the top, is that if we don't solve the waste management problems now, it will cost, according to this report, it will cost 5 to 10 times in data to fix the problem. So the cost of inaction due to health impacts, loss of productivity, is going to cost us more. So the biggest the example I take always in this scenario is the episode of dengue fever. As you know, there's a lot of problems with dengue fever around many countries, and the main reason for that episode or for that pandemic is the lack of waste management. So this statement tell us all that we need to act now, and we can't wait anymore. Unless we do that, we'll have to spend 5 to 10 times more down the track. Next slide, please. So let's get into the topic itself. We talk about the plastic waste generation. I was doing a webinar yesterday as well. This is now becoming a major problem for us, and you can see from that graph the increase of plastic production from 1950s to 2015, and it is on the rise, mainly because it is, as you know, the plastics are very cheap to produce. There is a lot of usage around the world, so this is going to be a major waste stream for us in the coming years. Next slide, please. So if you ask me why we have to worry about the plastic waste, as we all know, there is a major issue with marine pollution. And according to WWF, their estimate is by 2050, there'll be more plastics than fish in the ocean. Now, this is an estimate. Whether it will happen or not, we are not sure, but the alarm is there. So that's the important message coming out of this slide, is that we have to be alarmed of this statement, because what is happening now is that 80% of the plastics ending up in ocean is coming from the land. So so that is something we need to keep in mind. Next slide, please. So apart from the plastic waste, then the food waste is also a problem. As you know, 1/3 of food produced around the world is wasted, which is a major problem for us. This is lost during various stages of the food cycle, from the production, transport, use, and so on. So this is another waste stream which we have to really deal with in the coming years. Next slide, please. So the other next waste stream is e-waste, is also another problem. Electronic waste has been a problem for a few years now, and that is also not going to go away very quickly. So next slide, please. The other waste stream which we are also confronted with is construction and demolition waste, which is a major waste stream in many developed countries and also the emerging economies. Because as you know, to build anything, any building, you need to demolish the old building. So therefore, we have waste streams coming from both those activities during demolition as well as the construction. And this can take a major portion of the municipal solid waste stream, as we all know. Next slide, please. So you can see from that slide, it's about 40% of the global solid waste generation from this particular waste stream. So although it is not dangerous as the other waste streams, this can take up a lot of space in our land rights. So that is the problem we have with this waste stream. Next, please. So the other area is, of course, the disaster waste. And as we all know, disasters happen very regularly. It is on the increase as well. And once a disaster happens, and if we are not ready, we will have, for example, 100 years of waste in one day. So that's a drama that is going to be a big challenge for the operational people, operational staff to deal with the waste stream. So that's what I'm trying to do now is just highlighting some of these waste streams so that you know you're trying to refresh the problems we have at the moment. Next slide, please. So you can see from the example, Japan is a classic example. As you know, the 2011 tsunami resulted in 25 million tons of debris, which is enormous amount. As I said, you know, it will be many years of waste coming in one day. So so it is a problem, and which needs to be we have to be ready for it. And I guess many countries are not ready for this scenario. It's too late to think about it once the disaster has happened. Next slide, please. And I spoke about the e-waste, electronic waste, which is stuff work I have been doing for a long time now. And this is also a major problem because electronic waste, as you know, contains a lot of chemicals, toxic metals, and also it contains a lot of valuable metals. So the scenario here is that how to work out a system where we can recover the valuable metals, whereas we safely manage the nasty metals. Next slide, please. So moving forward, so all what I mentioned are the problems we are facing now, and we see the circular economy is regarded as one of the best way to move forward to overcome these issues, because in the past we tend to allow the waste to be produced and think about treatment and disposal but we cannot do it anymore. We need to get we need to regard the waste as a resource, and then try and get back into the system, and that is what the circular economy is all about. In other words, we need to move away from the linear economy to circular economy. Next slide, please. So as you see in the diagram, you can see the linear economy is not the preferred option. Now that is the method which has been the practice which has been for a long time. And the circular economy, which is we show in the right-hand side, is important concept which you need to implement in the coming years. So you can see the Ellen MacArthur Foundation is a pioneer in this area, and this slide was taken from their work. You can see what they are saying is that our materials can be divided into biological materials and technical materials. So the biological materials are the ones we consume, for example, food, and the technical materials are the ones which we use, for example, mobile phones and so on. So the opportunity is there to circularize both these materials, which is important to do. Next slide, please. So the Sustainable Development Goals, as you all know, what we are talking about here is particularly the goal number 12, which is the responsible consumption and production. And this is the key driving force for us to implement all these concepts like circular economy and sustainable consumption. The interesting thing here is that one needs to look at, although goal 12 relates directly to waste management issues, most of the other goals, most of it has cross-cutting issues related to waste. For example, if you look at number 14, which is the life below water, we already spoke about the plastic issue causing the marine pollution and so on. So in that regard, the waste management, solving the waste management issue, we can safely say that it not only contributes to goal 12, but it also contributes to many other SDGs as well. Next slide, please. So this is that goal 12, which I was talking about, basically relates to sustainable consumption and production patterns. In other words, basically what it says is that we cannot be a business as usual scenario. We need to change our consumption and production patterns if we have to move forward. Next, please. So the Griffith involvement in this space is we have a variety of involvements. One of the most important involvement we had in the last few years is the connection with the United Nations Regional 3R Forum. This particular forum is, I think some of you will know, is a very high-level forum involving the government heads in the region. And basically the forum meets every year. We are into the 10th meeting this year. And during the meeting, the experts deliver presentations to the government heads, and then the hope, the expectation that those new developments and those guidance will take on board when they get back to work. So in that forum, we have a lot of public, private sector involvement, NGOs, so not only government sector. It's a forum involving a lot of stakeholders. So this is one of the key involvements we have from our side. Next slide, please. And I think all of us need to look at this, the publication, which is what we call the State of the 3Rs in Asia and the Pacific, published by this forum, which talks about what countries in the region, the Asia Pacific region, is doing in regard to things like circular economy and so on. So the progress made and what needs to be done and so on is, if you want to read that, that's an excellent publication to read. Next slide, please. So apart from this, as Webri mentioned, we also have the waste management courses which have been offered. We offer 3 courses: solid waste management, hazardous waste management, and cleaner production and eco-efficiency. So these 3 courses basically cover the whole spectrum of waste management, if you like. But the most important course, as in my opinion, is the 3rd one, which is the cleaner production and eco-efficiency course, which will be renamed next year to cleaner production and circular economy. In that course, we cover quite a bit of circular economy, sustainable consumption, and so on, and basically aligning with the Sustainable Development Goals. And then apart from the formal offerings at Griffith Uni in this area, we also offer short courses to various organizations, especially overseas, and as Webri mentioned, through the Australian Awards program. I have conducted programs for Vietnam, Ministry of Environment officials there, and also to Indonesian officials last year. So just to finish off my presentation, I just want to mention that you asked me what is unique about the Griffith Uni program in waste management, is that we have basically moved away from end of pipe treatment to beginning of pipe treatment, if you want to put it that way, in waste management. In other words, the traditional waste management courses have been dealing with how to treat the waste, basically talking about the technologies of just managing the waste. But we have moved forward and spoken about dealing about how to move forward by converting waste to a resource and so on. So that difference is we are proud of that difference what we are doing in those courses. So that's pretty much from me, and then I will now hand back to Webri.
Go ahead, Webri.
Okay, so thank you very much, Dr. Sunil. It was very useful. And now we are going to, in my presentation, all right, so today we are facing global plastic waste issues. Those plastics mostly end up in the ocean. It forms a giant plastic soup that travels around the world. It's killing marine life. Seafood deliver poison into our plate. Our children are in danger. We need to stop this global catastrophe as soon as possible. And that's the effect of linear economy that we are using right now. In the linear economy, we take materials from natural resources, we create product, we source the remaining consumption, and let the waste to polluting the earth. We need a new economic system that enables us to eliminate waste through optimizing the usage of waste by reduce it, repair it, or recycle it. In short, we need to put the waste in the cycle. And that's how circular economy works. By implementation of circular economy, the world will become less waste, cleaner, and sustainable. Next slide, please. 2019 was a great momentum. I was selected to become one of 25 awardees to participate short course tackling marine pollution issues through recycling at Griffith University. It was not the prestige that made me happy, but I found that it was my accelerating point. after 3 years of doing random learning to tackle terrifying waste problem in my society. The course was attended by 25 participants, consists of representatives of 4 related ministries in the central government, regional and local government representatives, universities researchers, recycling entities, and NGOs from Indonesia. During the workshop, we examined marine pollution in Indonesia and Australia in terms of scale of the problem, policy setting, commercial activities, and community response to awareness raising campaign. Our activities were classes and several site visits to Indonesian and Australian recycling company, to Australian Environmental Agency, to Australian Environment NGOs, to Australian landfill doing this cleanup, networking with Indonesia and Australia waste management stakeholders, and also 3 months of home country project in Indonesia. The next slide, please. In the beginning, I was not intended to create the Greenwave method. So the method was born from difficulties I am facing during my effort to achieve my goals in the field. I faced a lot of rejection and confrontation in my village, because Wonosidi is the village where I grew up when I was teenage. Mostly of them are considered as senior in my big family, and most social decision being influenced by the elder, it was hard for them to listen to younger person like me. I nearly give up, but there was a moment where I got an insight to use all gathered information during the short course and put them into test in the field. Mostly of them work well, and some was not applicable in my place. And for those successful implementation, I wrote it down and tailor it into an imaginable system that further I call it the Greenwave method. The next slide, please. So let's portray the Greenwave method as a tree with 7 branches and 5 roots. The branches consist of development of purpose, people, product, process, territorial, fashion, and progress. Meanwhile, the root consists of engagement between societies, non-profit, fund, profit entities, and government. The root of the tree is the most crucial part of the tree. Healthy roots generate a healthy tree. Sick roots lead to a dying tree. So that's the environmental program. If there is no synergy between society, fund, profit, and government, my opinion, soon or late, the program will merely become a fairy tale. Majority of us, at least in my country, put attention only on 3 developments. Number 1 is product, means recycling product. 2 is the process. Normally we found it in a regulation paper or zero waste guidance book. And 3 is peripheral, such as waste bank and recycling center. It is easy to see them as they are visible. But the fact teaches us one thing, that without developing people, this infrastructure will be soon turned into monuments. Next slide, please. So, the next 5 slides, we begin to elaborate the root part of the system. And we see society. The first root is society engagement. Why society most tackles as a student? Because everyone shall responsible to their own way. I will let you know my story. In April 2015, I took a trip to Okinawa, Japan. I was so impressed by cleanliness all around the place. Despite they have a lot of vending machines and using a lot of plastic in their product, I didn't find any waste in anywhere. During the trip, I visited several cities and villages, and I found one thing in common in every guest house I had stayed. They have shoe racks and waste segregation bins next to the entrance. So every guest, every time, anytime, can put waste they produce in the guest house before leaving, or even put waste they keep in their own bag during traveling, so when they just arrive. And I also try to observe other cleanest countries in the world, like Denmark, Switzerland, and Singapore. I found that they have one thing in common. The resident and visitor understand that everyone shall be responsible to their own waste, and waste segregation shall be done since the household, while government support the societies with provide infrastructure, regulation, and proper law enforcement. Meanwhile, in a country with high pollution like my country, majority people here still think that waste matter are responsibility of government only. Next slide, please. Now we see the second root of the waste management system is non-profit engagement as educator. Since humans are the waste producer, waste management cannot separate behavioral change and capacity building. Without proper behavior and capacity building, any waste management system will be malfunction. Not to mention our health risks and other immaterial losses which are caused by waste pollution. Behavioral change and capacity building need huge investment of time, fund, and effort. Profit entities and government cannot handle by themselves. They need non-profit and education institutions to take the role. Next slide, please. We're supposed to see a slide about fund. The third road is funder engagement as activators. Fund providers are very important in waste management. Almost all waste management activities, including capacity building, infrastructure, development, and recycling operational, are require funding. Funding can come in the form of grant, investment, or development budget from government. Next slide, please. We're supposed to see profile slide. The profile entity engagement act as the motor of the system. To make waste management sustainable and accelerated, recycling business play a very important role. It provides solutions to handle existing waste in society. It can cut off waste management costs so that government can allocate it to other important development. Societies may also benefit by recycling business, as it also provides economic transactions and adds more employment in recycling activities. Next slide, please. Next slide, we're supposed to see government as regulator. Government play a very important role to regulate circular economy implementation in certain territories. They provide regulation, infrastructure, and law enforcement to ensure every stakeholder play their role properly. Next slide, please. We're supposed to see the purpose slide. In this next 7 slide, we begin to elaborate the development part of the system. The first branch is purpose development. Mutual purpose is very important to align all stakeholders to move within one direction. Any stakeholder can initiate the mutual purpose making. It can be done by focus group discussion or one-on-one approach. And in my case, I use one-on-one approach. Next slide, please. In the next slide, we're supposed to see people's life. It means the second branch is people development. Human is the root of waste problem. Non-human waste will dissolve in time faster and remain no any problem. Meanwhile, an organic waste like plastic and other toxic substances can remain a solo problem for centuries. NGO and education entities are the right ones to handle this by doing environmental awareness development and people development. Next slide, please. In the next slide, we're supposed to see product slide. The next branch, product development. Product development is very important to ensure that all waste gets recycled into good quality product. It's done by profit entities by designing and developing organic, soft plastic, hard plastic, paper, textile, rubber, metal, glass, construction, non-toxic liquid, and gases recycled products. Next slide, please. In the next slide, we're supposed to see the next branch of process development. Certain process for certain territories is very important to ensure proper achievement or attainment of waste management target in certain area. Different area may need different process among each other because of different typographies, different social culture, different economic states, and other development aspects. The process shall be developed mutually by societies and government in the certain territory and to be driven on regulation. The process at least shall cover waste segregation from household, 3R or reduce, reuse, and recycle, prohibition, and consequences. Next slide, please. In the next slide, we're supposed to see peripheral development. Infrastructure is required to create proper waste stream for effective and efficient waste management process. The infrastructure can be provided by mutual contribution of society, non-profit, profit entities, and government all together. The infrastructure will be in the form of personal, household, communal, and recycling center equipment. Next slide, please. In the next slide, we're supposed to see passion slide or passion development branch. Passion in anything shall be maintained continuously because motivation are fluctuate unless it has already become a belief. Without passion, waste management system will easily get broken due to some issues. It can be social, economy, health, or maybe even political issues. The passion shall be developed by all stakeholders by keep doing communication to ensure the delivery of stakeholders' expectation, co-creation, and proper engagement. Next slide, please. In the next slide, we're supposed to see progress slide or progress development branch. This development is very important to ensure all the processes are attainable, sustainable, and dynamic. All stakeholders shall develop the progress of waste management in their responsibility area and by plan the progress, record it, and improve all activities, monitor it, and evaluate it. Next slide, please. In the next slide, we're supposed to see a question about how is the implementation of Greenwave method. Currently, I've been performing project entitled Wonosidi, the leading circular economy village. The aim of the project is to really test the Greenwave method to help Wonosidi village to achieve zero to landfill. and help Wonosidi become education tourism village with the theme of circular economy by January 2021. The project itself is a continuation project of my past home country project during my short course entitled my short course Tackling Marine Pollution Issues Through Recycling in 2019, entitled Waste Sorting from Households in Wonosidi Village of Pacitan. I am in purpose to develop a masterpiece of circular economy in a village scale with the hope to make it effective and feasible to be replicated by other villages in rural, suburb, and cities areas in Indonesia. Next slide, please. In the next slide, we're supposed to see an Indonesian map. So here, I'm giving you a glimpse information about Wonosidi. Wonosidi is a rural village, one among 171 combination of rural and suburb villages in Pacitan region. It occupied by almost 2,000 families and 40 kilometers away from the municipal landfill. There is no waste transportation service from government, and meanwhile, waste transportation truck of Pacitan government save around only 25 villages of those 171 villages across Pacitan Regency. So how does village handle their waste? Normally, they dealing with the waste by burning, illegal landfilling, and dumping waste in open space or into water bodies because they don't have any other better option. So from this case, we can see that not only cities that need attention, but those all villages with rivers and without waste service from government will potentially to worsen marine pollution and climate change faster than we can imagine. And that is why I strive to help all villages in Indonesia to implement circular economy. Next slide, please. In the next slide, we're supposed to see the Greenwave tree of Wonosidi village in September 2019 when I started to approach them for my home country project. I marked the availability status in colors. Red colors mean not available. Yellow means need improvement. Green means available or proper. So that moment, no any waste management development and only 2 group of stakeholders that was available. Non-profit group consists of Griffith University, Greenwave NGO, and Circular Economy Club in Pacitan. Meanwhile, government of Wonosidi only able to support unofficially because they hadn't have developed any waste management regulation yet. So no any regulation that moment. Next slide, please. In the next slide, we're supposed to see the Greenwave trees in Wonosidi in December 2019. In December 2019, the society started to get involved, and government of Wonosidi published Village Regulation number 5, 2019 about waste management system in Wonosidi village. We began to develop people, product, concept, and peripheral. And actually, the purpose had already developed that moment. I just made mistake by mark it with red color. It should be yellow. So that moment, we couldn't do any further because we hadn't have any funding yet. Next slide, please. In the next slide, we're supposed to see the Greenwave tree of Wonosidi village this month, October 2020. Everything is available, but we need to do more development in people and product and also to gain more involvement of society members and also investment. We will elaborate this one by one in the next 12 slides. Oh yeah, if you want to get this Greenwave canvas like this and to make exercise to make your own Greenwave tree for your area, you can send me email. The email address provided in the end of this presentation. So you send me an email and I will send you this template, the Greenwave tree or the Greenwave canvas. The next slide, please. So in this slide, we're supposed to see a society as executor. So our goals in Wonosidi are to help 100% of houses in Wonosidi to install waste sorting bags. From the grant we have received, we provide all bags they need, deliver it in this 3 months, from October, November, and December. And we are targeting all waste sorting bags have been installed in 100%, means all houses in Wonosidi by 20 December 2020, and targeting 60% of houses segregate waste from home into 11 categories by September 2021. So you may see that this waste segregation bag is not fancy, but this is the tools that we can afford this moment for the village. Maybe in the city, you need to have better equipment. Next slide, please. In the next slide, we're supposed to see non-profit or educator. So non-profit in Wonosidi, we have Circular Economic Club as global NGO and Greenwave NGO as the national one. Meanwhile, Griffith University as global education institution, and we expect Indonesian university to collaborate with us in the next near future. So if one of you of audience come from Indonesian university, please text us if you want to get involved in this project, and we will very appreciate. Next slide, please. In the next slide, we're supposed to see fund or activator. This project received grant from Australian government or DFAT that we propose through alumni grant scheme. But please keep in mind that this project is not project of Australian government, but a kind of support from them to Australian alumni through a competition. This project also received grant from Women's Earth Alliance, as I have been considered as one among 27 female environmental leaders in Women's Earth Alliance Indonesia Graduate Accelerator in 2020. And then just in 15 October 2020, just a few days ago, the region of Pacitan received the project. And in the same day, the government of Pacitan unofficially rewarded Wonosidi village with TPS 3R building construction. TPS 3R is communal waste management building which implements reduce, reuse, recycle approach. So the construction will be built around 2021 or 2022. And if it's possible, we will officially announce Wonosidi as the circular economic village in January 2021. And also, we expect investment for Manggala Wonosidi in 2021. Next slide, please. In the next slide, we're supposed to see profit as the motor. In January 2020, Government of Wonosidi Village and Greenwave NGO certified an environmental worker group called Manggala Wonosidi. Manggala Wonosidi has been being incubated to become an environmental-based corporation entity in 2021. It will not only handle recycling, but also develop several strategic business units to handle organic farming, clean energy, public housing, and other eco-friendly business. In other words, Manggala Wonosidi will take roles as profitable entity and center of excellence in the same time to support circular economy and total SDGs implementation in Wonosidi village. Next slide, please. In the next slide, we're supposed to see government as the regulator. Recently, government that involved in project is not only government of Wonosidi village, but also government of Pacitan regency. In the day they visit us in this month, they show interest to implement the same waste management system in the other 170 villages in Pacitan regency. Hopefully, we can do it in 2021 up to 2023. The next slide, please. In the next slide, we're supposed to see the purpose. In the purpose branch in Wonosidi, the mutual purpose had arrived in the ratifying paper signed by the head of Wonosidi in January 2020. There's three purposes. They are to create society which is excellent and possessing high environmental awareness in Wonosidi village, to create healthy, beautiful, productive, and sustainable environment in Wonosidi village, and number three, to create economic growth which is harmony with environmental preservation in Wonosidi village. The next slide, please. In the next slide, we're supposed to see people development. So basically, Manggala Wonosidi is a social enterprise, but they also have 185 members representatives, which is come from all neighborhoods. And for your information, Wonosidi has 37 neighborhoods. So 185 members of Manggala Wonosidi come from 5 representatives for each neighborhood. The 5 representatives in each neighborhood has role to spread awareness about sustainable lifestyle, neighborhood, landscape, ecopreneurship, and environmental inspiration in their area to support implementation of 70 activities. And thus, the same 5 representatives also help houses in their area or their neighborhood by distributing sorted waste from households to the nearest waste bank to support circular economy. And that's how waste management system and environmental preservation system of Greenwave NGO work in the village. The next slide, please. In the next slide, we're supposed to see product we have produced in Wonosidi village. For the moment, we are temporarily selling waste in the 3 categories: the PET and other type of hard plastic, the paper, and metal. Those 3 waste are the main waste that are commonly being recycled in big manufacture. So these waste are to be sent to big recycling companies in other cities. And currently, to support 100% circular economy in our village, we currently try to recycle waste which has no economic value as we can. Number 1 is organic, to become compost fertilizer, and then we try to recycle coconut shell into accessories, and then soft plastic wrapper in small capacity to become bags and purses, and then soft plastic in medium capacity and large as a cooking fuel, and use cooking oil into biodiesel and laundry soap, and sterilized cover of single-use nappies or diaper as a filler for cat bed or other similar handcraft. And we also have recycling plan in the future for glass, rubber, and biogas. Next slide, please. And in the next slide, we're supposed to see the process. There is picture of our regulation in Wonosidi village. Village regulation number 5, 2019 about waste management system in Wonosidi village. And in that regulation consists of so in the process, so we're supposed to see process slide with this content picture of the village regulation number 5, 2019 about waste management system, and then waste management flow that written on the regulation consists of waste prevention, and then waste sorting, waste collection, waste recycling, and then electronic waste, hazardous and residual treatment, liquid waste management, gaseous waste management, prohibition, and penalty. And then next slide, please. In the next slide, we're supposed to see peripheral development branch. It consists of personal and personal in the form of zero waste personal kit and portable waste bag to be carried in our bag. And then in household, we can see picture of man with bag near him, next to him. It is example of waste sorting bag in every houses. And then for communal, Wonosidi village has 7 waste bank. And then for recycling unit, we have 5 recycling units and 1 marketing unit. That's for the recycling business. And apologize because some pictures were taken before COVID pandemic. That's why some of people are wearing no mask. And then the next slide, please. In the next slide, we're supposed to see passion development branch. So that's in the slide. There is picture when we doing meeting. There is Wonosidi, Manggala Wonosidi government and Greenwave NGO quarterly coordination meeting, and then Manggala Wonosidi monthly coordination meeting, and meeting between 5 representatives in every neighborhood. But because of pandemic, right now we are focusing, mostly we are using WhatsApp and Facebook during the COVID pandemic. So we create several WhatsApp group and also a Facebook account of Manggala Wonosidi. The next slide, please. In the next slide, we're supposed to see progress development branch. All activities are being planned, measured, executed, recorded, monitored, and evaluated. So we are using logic model, strategic framework, impact framework, time frame, several records, monitoring and evaluation form, and also study case for the reporting. And then the next slide, please. In the next slide, we're supposed to see a table about waste collection in Wonosidi for October 2020. So far, because of pandemic, we cannot do many things for the collection. So the number is not big because we are limited to move from across the village. So for the moment, some of waste remain in the household because they are in small number. And then for soft plastic, hard plastic, paper, and metal, waste banks start to pick it up because the number is relatively huge. Some of them already sold to some people who, like buyer, come to the waste bank, and then some of them proceed in the waste bank. Next slide, please. So that's all updates from our project so far, and the project is still going on. And if you want to know more about the future, please keep in touch to our website, and that's our email, and that's my WhatsApp number, so we can get in touch. And I am trying to see. Oh, okay. So I can see my slide. Luckily, because in my place is in rural place, so sometimes internet get in trouble. And now, that's the end of my slide. And now I will introduce you to the third speaker. We will hearing from social marketer and behavioral scientist, Professor Sharyn Rundle-Thiele of Griffith University. She is the founding director of social marketing at Griffith, which is the largest university-based group of social marketing experts. She is the founding co-editor of the Journal of Social Marketing, one of world's leading behavior change journalists. She has led projects that have changed behavior for over than 10,000 of people in areas including health, the environment, and for other complex social issues. And she has led programs that have increased healthy eating, changed adolescent attitude to alcohol drinking, reduced weight, increased dog ability to avoid koala, and many more. She has published more than 175 books, book research, and journal papers. She received awards and appointments, including the Philip Kotler Social Marketing Distinguished Service Award, and then Australian New Zealand Marketing Academy Fellow. I acknowledge her innovative, high-quality practice and science and her leadership. And I personally know Professor Sharyn during short course tackling marine pollution issues through recycling last year. And the most important lesson I always remember from her is 3 secrets of behavioral change, which are focusing on the needs of our beneficiaries, co-creation, and engagement. And those 3 things are the foundation of the implementation of Greenwave method that I just created. And please welcome Professor Sharyn of Griffith University. Over to you, Professor Sharyn. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me. And I'm going to be joined in this last roundup session by both yourself, Webri, so thank you for having me, and also Sunil Herat. So my job is to help summarise the 2 presentations today and to actually work with both colleagues on pretty much what I think is a fantastic outcome. This demonstrates how collaboration comes together to actually get action resulting in waste being segregated, sorted, benefiting a village and ensuring that it's not out there in the seas. So we celebrate your work. It's been fabulous understanding where you've gone to. I want to start with a question for Sunil. Sunil, you said that the cost in terms of our health and the cost to society overall is going to be 5 to 10 times higher if we don't take action. So if we were all to take one takeaway today, is there a certain type of action that you recommend we all start to take, aside from the fabulous case study we've seen here with Webri today? What can we do and what would you recommend?
Yeah, thanks, Sharyn. Yeah, it's a good question because the fact is there, as I mentioned, if you don't act now, you have to pay more to act later. So I think the key message here is that how to create the action plans or how to reduce the waste. This is what I'm talking about, because at the moment, the economic growth and the resource consumption is happily married. It's a perfect marriage at the moment, and we want to break that marriage. The economic growth can continue, but the resource consumption has to come down, and that is where the circular economy plays a role. So that's the key message to how to decouple the economic growth from the resource consumption. I think that's what we want to achieve now, so that we basically look at the waste management issue as not as a liability, but as an opportunity to address many other issues.
That's wonderful, thank you. And Webri, you have a beautiful Greenwave method model that you have presented today. And it's clever, it's demonstrating some of the factors that need to come together and ways that a whole program can be managed to start to apply either at a village or potentially even a larger level like East Java. So can you tell me how you see the role of industry fitting into all of that?
The role of industry, so my opinion, we need to soon after, in the first step, we have to promote the waste segregation from home. Because why? Without segregation waste from home, the industry has difficulties to find recycling material. So at first, we need to do the campaign for waste segregation from home, and after that, we can implement recycling industry in every town if possible, because to reduce carbon footprint and then integrate it in a whole Indonesia, something like that. But at first, we must do the waste segregation from home. It's different with Australia, because Australia already do this and Indonesia is not yet. So I'm afraid if now we are focusing on recycling industry, as what I said, many industry or maybe PP3R in my place will be monument, because they will lacking of material resource or waste as their material. That's my opinion. Thank you.
And Sunil, could I direct that question to you as well? How do you see the role of industry in contributing to circular economy and reductions in waste?
Yeah, I think industry will play a key role, because as you know, we cannot solve the waste management issue without involving the private sector. So we cannot do that. The government alone can't solve this problem. We need to create an what we call the enabling conditions for the private sector to get in, because the private sector will not come in because they are not a charity. As you know, the private sector won't have profits because they need to operate an organization. So, it's very important to think about how to create those enabling conditions so that they see this as a comfort zone, and they'll come and invest and join with the public sector. So that is the important part. How, or the challenge, if you like to put it that way, how to create those enabling conditions, which is where a lot of countries are struggling at the moment. So that is the important point.
And just moving further on from that point, and this is again a question for you, Sunil, because you pretty much said that it's a cross-cutting issue to cut back on waste. And my question is, are you aware of some almost exemplar private and public partnerships that have got great outcomes in terms of waste reduction?
There is many public-private partnerships at the moment. In the forum I mentioned, my presentation, the United Nations Forum, we have a sideline event during that forum every year, which is the partnership for also increasing the ecosystem in the municipalities to solve the waste management issues. So it's very difficult to pinpoint one, but there is a lot of examples from every country you can think of where they have developed the public-private partnerships. Even in Australia, for example, our waste management system here is run by a public-private partnership. So it's happening everywhere. So it is very difficult to pinpoint one example. But I think the important message here is that if you look at developing countries, we need to develop these partnerships so that it will benefit the community as well. Because we don't want to see that as a profit-making venture only. And so this is where the when you think about managing the process, we can control all this so that the benefits will flow to the community in addition to the benefits the private sector getting. So the successful the partnership is that where the benefits are sort of equally distributed among the stakeholders. Yeah.
Thank you, Sunil. I've got one final question to direct to Webri. You outlined the Greenwave method and how you actually used this and applied it to get households to sort and segregate waste. Could you apply that method to actually reduce demand for plastic or other waste forms in the first place? And how would you do that?
Yes, I think I can use the method to reduce the plastic waste, and that's what we are doing right now. So as what we see in the table, in the second last slide of my presentation, you see that the biggest amount of waste are plastic. So number one is soft plastic instead, and then the second largest is the hard plastic. So I think it's very useful. The method is very useful for plastic pollution.
That's fantastic. So today you've heard from both Sunil and Webri, and Sunil reminds us that we need to start taking action. Waste is increasing, not decreasing. The targets that have been set are incredibly high, and more action is needed now to move forward. You then heard from Webri, who talked about her own story, and it's a personal journey, one of resistance, people not wanting to make change, and her gradual understanding of how maybe she could actually serve as an actor to actually help come together, build capacity in a community, and start to actually see the change and the outcomes that she wanted to see. And to achieve 64% of households, Webri, is an enormous success. That is amazing. It's such a great success story. And I think we need to hear more of these and understand how partnerships can form and come together to drive change. But my work is behaviour change. And one of the things that we do is try and understand how we can actually swap people's behaviours in the first place. And whilst we've talked a lot here about waste management and potentially how to deal with it as it comes out, I still think there's more we can now do, working with industry, but then also working with consumers themselves to start to drive the change we need to see. So as Sunil reminded us, this is a cross-sector, cross-cutting level of action actually needed. Each and every one of us should no longer accept buying something once, using it and discarding it. It's not good enough. We should know better, and we should already be trying personally to avoid actually going for that in the very first place. I myself, when I started to work with the delegation in Indonesia and with Sunil, was challenged to see if we could do this ourselves as a household. And we today have very little waste coming out of our house. I wish I could report to you that it was zero, but I have really struggled with COVID. It made it harder. We were making wonderful progress. We'd found places that would let us take a container, they would pack the food into it for us, and we could bring it home and keep reusing our containers. And then COVID came along and stopped that altogether. So I'm here to tell you it's not easy, but it's not impossible. And that's just personal level change. But what if we then, across the buying, the actions that we take inside our organisations, also started to call for that change? We don't want it if it's packaged in something that's one only use. We don't want it if it actually evaporates quickly. So all of these manufactured products that no longer last as long as they used to, is that really good enough? So can we actually serve individually to start to help to drive the change that we see? Because if we don't buy it off the shelf in the first place, industry will start to act faster and move quicker because we actually demand it of them. And government always has a role to play. It too has procurement processes and it too can be driving change just by what it chooses to buy, support or not. Because if we don't, Sunil reminds us, it's going to cost 5 or 10 times more to do it later. So I hope that today's discussion has inspired you, maybe helped to challenge you or show you different ways that you can start to move forward and work to achieve the change that we want to see. On behalf of myself, thank you for having me here today. And Sunil and Webri, thank you so much for fantastic presentations. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Sharyn. It was wonderful. And also, I say many special thanks to Dr. Sunil, all audience, institution, select of team, and all officers behind the scene. So that is webinar run well today, and I hope you find it useful. I give the stage back to Institute. Over to you, Duncan.
Well, thanks so much, Webri, and thank you also to Sunil and Sharyn, and also for CEC Pacitan for bringing this content to us today. It's really all we have time for today, but just a couple of points I'd like to make about what Webri presented. Her project in Wonosidi is really inspiring, and it shows how much difference one person can make. And don't forget that she offered to share the Greenwave tree template if you'd like to have a look at that, or you can reach out to her about other questions you might have. A reminder: her email is Webri Veliana @gmail.com. Don't forget that we have more Circular Cities talks this afternoon. At 6 o'clock, we have the webinar Fostering Community-Based Systems Change in Thailand, and that's being brought to you by CEC Bangkok. A quick word of thanks to the CIMB tech team for coming in to make this happen on a public holiday. I'm sure they would have other things to do if they weren't doing this, so thanks to them. Also to Jacqueline Chang from CEC Malaysia for being instrumental in curating the Circular Cities Week. And finally, to my colleague Donnie Yu for really being the keystone in this whole event. Without him, none of this would be possible. So with that, I'll hand back to you, Gabriel, to close the session.
Thank you, Duncan. And thank you to Webri and to Prof. Sharyn and Associate Prof. Sunil for your presentations and your insights to how individuals can make a difference. So before I wrap up, please go to menti.com and use the code on the screen and provide feedback on the sessions. Apologies for the delay this morning. We had some technical issues with the start of the webinar. So thank you for staying with us. Like Duncan said, this afternoon at 6 o'clock Malaysian time, we will have CEC Bangkok talking on fostering community-based systems change from Thailand. And you'll enjoy this tomorrow, where we have CEC Singapore and CEC Penampang Sabah sharing their insights. So before I end, I'd just like to thank our knowledge partners, ThinkCity, Impacto, and WWF, as well as our tech partners, Laska Sonas Productions, for making this summit possible. We also like to thank our event partners and also our supporting partners throughout this 8 weeks. So thank you from me, and also thank you from tomorrow. Have a good day.